In the lush green hills of eastern Nigeria, nestled among towering palm and kola nut trees, lay the modest village of Ugwueke. Though small in size, the village was renowned throughout the region for its wise and just ruler, Chief Ezudele. From his simple clay brick palace in the center of the village, he governed his people with fairness and compassion, earning their respect and devotion. Chief Ezudele had an only daughter, Princess Adaku, whose name meant daughter of wealth. However, the princess carried a burden that no amount of wealth could lift. Since the age of 15, Adaku had been afflicted with a terrible condition. Without warning, she would collapse to the ground, her body convulsing uncontrollably as epileptic seizures racked her frail frame. "Papa, why did the gods curse me?" Adaku once asked her father, tears streaming down her face after a particularly severe episode. She sat on a low wooden stool in her father's private chambers, her thin shoulders trembling. Chief Ezudele's heart ached as he watched his daughter struggle to compose herself. "My child, this is not a curse. Sometimes the gods test the strongest among us." But his words, though kind, did little to ease Adaku's suffering. During these fits, to her great shame and humiliation, she would often lose control of her bladder, soaking her wrapper with urine. The seizures would leave her exhausted and disoriented, her body weak and her spirit broken. "Neoma," she called out one morning to her loyal maid, "please help me change again. The fits, they came while I was sleeping." Neoma, a kind-hearted young woman who had served the palace since childhood, rushed to her mistress's aid. "My princess, do not despair. Let me help you clean up and change into fresh clothes." Chief Ezudele spared no expense in seeking a cure for his beloved daughter. He summoned the most renowned medicine men and traditional healers from all corners of Igboland. One such healer, Dibia Obayora, arrived with great fanfare, his reputation preceding him. "Great chief," the medicine man declared, his voice resonating through the palace courtyard, "I have treated many afflictions. Allow me to examine the princess." For hours, Dibia Obayora performed various rituals, burning herbs and chanting incantations. He tied protective amulets around Adaku's neck and prepared bitter concoctions for her to drink. "Drink this, princess," he instructed, holding out a clay bowl filled with a foul-smelling liquid. "It will drive away the evil spirits causing your affliction." Adaku grimaced, but obediently drank the medicine, hoping against hope that this time, finally, she would find relief. But like all the treatments before it, Dibia Obayora's remedies proved ineffective. As news of the princess's condition spread, cruel whispers began to circulate throughout Ugwueke village. Children would point and stare whenever she ventured outside the palace walls. "Look, it's the mad princess," they would snicker behind their hands. "The one who falls down and wets herself." One particularly cruel group of boys took to singing taunting songs. "Adaku, Adaku, nothing but skin and bones. Watch out or she'll shake and quake, fall down and wet her clothes." The mockery cut deep into Adaku's heart. Even within the palace walls, she could hear their cruel laughter floating on the breeze. Overwhelmed by shame and despair, she retreated further into isolation, finding solace only in the company of her faithful maid, Neoma, and in her own voice, which she used to sing soft melodies when she thought no one was listening. "Why do they hate me so, Neoma?" Adaku asked one evening as they sat in the palace garden, the setting sun painting the sky in shades of orange and purple. Neoma gently braided her mistress's hair, her fingers working with practiced ease. "They fear what they don't understand, my princess. Their cruel words speak more about their own ignorance than about you." But even Chief Ezudele's love for his daughter began to waver as the years passed. He watched helplessly as Adaku grew thinner, her once vibrant spirit dimming with each passing day. The political alliances he had hoped to forge through her marriage now seemed impossible. What noble family would want a wife who might collapse at any moment, who might shame them in public with her fits? "My daughter brings nothing but shame to my lineage," he confided to his closest advisor, Nduka, during a private meeting. "How can I secure the future of our people with such a burden?" Nduka, an elderly man with wisdom etched into the lines of his face, stroked his grey beard thoughtfully. The gods work in mysterious ways, Great One. Perhaps there is a purpose to your daughter's affliction that we cannot yet see. As Adaku approached her 20th year, she had become a shadow of herself, spending most of her days hidden away in the palace compound. Her only joy came from singing, a gift she had possessed since childhood, whether it was the rhythmic sounds of women pounding yams in the distance or the melodic chants from the village square during festivals. Music called to her soul like nothing else. One warm morning, as Adaku sat beneath her favorite udala tree in the palace courtyard, her sweet voice rose clear and pure in the morning air as she sang an old lullaby her mother used to sing. Nwamam, Nwama, my precious child, let the morning sun warm your face, let the evening wind cool your heart. What a beautiful voice, a deep male voice suddenly called out, startling her from her reverie, like honey mixed with morning dew. Adaku spun around, her heart racing, to find a young man perched in a nearby palm tree. He wore a simple loincloth, his muscular chest bare except for the leather strap that held his cutting knife. A woven basket hung from his shoulder, clearly one of the palm wine tappers who serviced the palace grounds. I'm sorry, Adaku stammered, lowering her eyes and preparing to flee. I didn't realize anyone was there. Please don't go, the young man called out, quickly but gracefully descending the palm tree. I'm Chidi, the new palm wine tapper. I didn't mean to frighten you, but your voice, it's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Adaku remained frozen in place, torn between her instinct to run and something else, something in the warmth of Chidi's voice that made her want to stay. You shouldn't waste your time talking to me, she said softly, still not meeting his eyes. I'm not well. The afflicted princess everyone talks about. Chidi's voice softened with understanding. I know who you are, Princess Adaku. News of your condition has reached even my village of Umuahia, 3 hours' journey from here. But your illness doesn't define you, and it certainly doesn't diminish the beauty of your voice. For the first time, Adaku looked up, meeting Chidi's gentle brown eyes. In them, she saw something she hadn't encountered in years. Not pity, not disgust, but genuine warmth and interest. You don't mind, she asked hesitantly, that I might have a fit at any moment? That I might… Shame yourself, Chidi finished for her, his voice kind. Princess, there is no shame in being ill. The shame belongs to those who mock others' suffering. As the morning sun climbed higher in the sky, Adaku found herself doing something she hadn't done in years, having a real conversation with someone other than Neoma. Chidi told her about his village, about learning the art of palm wine tapping from his father, about the songs he sang while working high in the trees. Would you sing with me? He asked suddenly. There's an old harvest song my mother taught me. It goes like this. And there, in the privacy of the palace courtyard, their voices joined together, Chidi's rich baritone supporting Adaku's sweet soprano as they sang. The yams grow strong in fertile soil, the corn stands tall in morning light. Blessed are we who work and toil, for the gods have kept us through the night. For the first time in years, Adaku felt something long dormant stirring in her chest, hope. As their song ended, she realized she was smiling, really smiling, and it felt like breaking through clouds after a long storm. I must go, Chidi said reluctantly as the palace began to stir with morning activities, but I'll be back in 2 days to collect more palm wine. Perhaps we could sing together again? Adaku nodded, her heart lighter than it had been in years. I'd like that, she whispered. As she watched Chidi disappear beyond the palace walls, Neoma emerged from the shadows where she had been discreetly watching the exchange. Be careful, my princess, she warned gently. Your father would not approve of you spending time with a palm wine tapper. Adaku touched her throat, still warm from singing. For the first time in so long, Neoma, someone saw me, really saw me, as more than just my illness. How can that be wrong? And so began a secret friendship that would change both their lives forever. Every 2 days, when Chidi came to collect palm wine from the palace trees, he and Adaku would meet in the early morning hours. Sometimes they sang together, their voices blending in perfect harmony. Other times they simply talked, sharing stories and dreams. When Adaku's seizures struck during their meetings, Chidi never flinched or turned away. Instead, he would gently support her head, wiping away the foam from her mouth with his own cloth, and wait patiently for the episode to pass. "You don't have to stay," Adaku told him once, after a particularly severe fit had left her soaked and trembling. "You don't have to see me like this." Chidi carefully helped her sit up, his strong hands steady and sure. "I stay because I want to, Princess. Your strength in facing this challenge only makes me admire you more." As weeks turned into months, their friendship deepened into something more, though neither dared speak of it. But the palace walls had eyes, and soon whispers of the princess's meetings with the palm wine tapper reached Chief Ezudele's ears. "What is this I hear about my daughter spending time with a common palm wine tapper?" he demanded of Naoma one evening. The maid bowed low, careful with her words. "The young man is kind to the princess, my chief. His presence seems to bring her peace." "Peace?" Chief Ezudele scoffed. "What good is peace when it comes with such impropriety? I must put an end to this before our name is further tarnished." But before the chief could act on his concerns, fate intervened in an unexpected way. For on the next morning, as Adaku waited beneath the Udala tree for Chidi's arrival, something extraordinary happened, something that would change not just their lives, but the entire village of Ugweka forever. As dawn broke over Ugweka village, the morning mist still clinging to the palm trees, Chidi made his way through the forest toward the palace. His thoughts, as always, were filled with Princess Adaku, but this morning would bring an encounter that would change everything. The sound of someone struggling caught his attention. Through the morning haze, he spotted an elderly woman attempting to lift a heavy bundle of firewood. Without hesitation, Chidi set down his palm wine-tapping equipment and hurried to help. "Please, Mama, let me assist you," he called out, already moving to take the burden from her frail shoulders. The old woman looked up, her eyes sharp despite her apparent age. "Ah, such a kind young man," she said, her voice carrying an odd musical quality. "But what of your tools? Aren't you worried someone might steal them?" Chidi smiled warmly. "The tools can wait, Mama. It wouldn't be right to leave you struggling while I worry about my equipment." As they walked deeper into the forest, the old woman's steps seemed surprisingly sure for someone of her age. She led him to a small clearing where a humble hut stood, almost hidden among the trees. "You have a good heart, young palm wine tapper," she said suddenly, turning to face him. "Not many would stop to help an old woman when their thoughts are full of a princess." Chidi froze, his heart skipping a beat. "How do you—" The old woman's eyes twinkled mysteriously. "I know many things, child. I know of your love for Princess Adaku. I know how you see past her affliction to the beautiful soul within. And I know how you dream of a future together, even though you fear it impossible." "Who are you?" Chidi whispered, both frightened and fascinated. The woman smiled, revealing teeth that seemed too white and perfect for her aged face. "I am someone who appreciates kindness when she sees it. And you, Chidi, have shown great kindness, not just to me this morning, but in how you treat the princess whom others scorn." She reached into the folds of her wrapper and pulled out a small leather pouch. "Take this," she said, pressing it into his palm. "After the evening meal, mix its contents with palm wine and give it to Princess Adaku to drink. But remember, true healing comes not just from medicine, but from love freely given and accepted." Before Chidi could respond, a warm breeze rustled through the clearing. When it passed, the old woman had vanished, leaving him alone with the mysterious pouch in his hand. Shaken but hopeful, Chidi rushed to the palace, where he found Adaku in their usual meeting place. Her face lit up at his approach, but quickly turned to concern when she saw his agitated state. "Chidi, what's wrong?" she asked, rising from her seat beneath the Udala tree. He told her everything, about the old woman, her mysterious knowledge, and the pouch she had given him. As he spoke, Naoma emerged from the palace, carrying Adaku's morning meal. "Be careful, my princess," Neoma warned, having overheard the tale. "Strange medicines from forest women. It could be dangerous." But Adaku's eyes were fixed on the small pouch in Chidi's hand. After years of failed treatments and bitter disappointments, something about this felt different. "Perhaps we should tell my father," she said thoughtfully. "He has connections to many healers. Maybe they could examine it first." Chidi nodded. "Yes, we should do this properly, with your father's blessing." Later that afternoon, they stood before Chief Ezudele in his receiving room. The chief sat on his ornately carved wooden throne, his face unreadable as Chidi recounted his morning encounter. "So," the chief said slowly, "a mysterious woman in the forest gave you medicine for my daughter." His voice dripped with skepticism. "And why would she do this?" Chidi met the chief's gaze steadily. "She said it was because of kindness, Great One. Not my kindness to her, but to your daughter." "Kindness?" Chief Ezudele's eyes narrowed. "Or perhaps you seek to curry favor, to raise yourself above your station by claiming to cure the princess." "No, my chief," Chidi protested, dropping to his knees. "I would never presume. I only want to help Adaku. I care for her deeply." A heavy silence fell over the room. Finally, Chief Ezudele spoke again, his voice softer but no less intense. "You care for her? A palm wine tapper dares to speak of caring for a princess." "Father," Adaku stepped forward, her voice trembling but determined. "Chidi has shown me more kindness and respect than any of the noble suitors who once sought my hand. When others mock me, he sees my worth. When the fits take me, he stays by my side without shame." The chief studied his daughter's face, noting the fire in her eyes that he hadn't seen in years. Something shifted in his expression. "Very well," he said at last. "We shall try this medicine. But," he added, his voice hardening, "if any harm comes to my daughter, your life will be forfeit. Do you understand?" Chidi bowed his head. "I understand, Great One. I would give my life freely if it meant helping Princess Adaku." That evening, in the presence of Chief Ezudele, Neoma, and the palace healer, Chidi carefully mixed the mysterious powder with fresh palm wine. The liquid turned a slight golden color, seeming to glow in the lamplight. Adaku took the cup with trembling hands. "Whatever happens," she said softly, looking at Chidi, "thank you for giving me hope again." Then she drank. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Adaku's eyes rolled back in her head and she collapsed, her body convulsing more violently than ever before. "Seize him!" Chief Ezudele roared, but Chidi was already at Adaku's side, cradling her head to prevent injury. "Please," he begged, "let me help her through this fit. If it's her last, let me at least do this much." For 30 agonizing minutes, they watched as Adaku's body shook and trembled. Chidi never left her side, wiping her brow, supporting her head, murmuring soft words of comfort, even though she couldn't hear them. Finally, the seizure passed. Adaku's eyes fluttered open, and for the first time after a fit, they were clear and focused. "I feel," she whispered, wonderment in her voice, "I feel different, stronger somehow." Over the next few days, everyone watched Adaku anxiously, waiting for the next seizure to strike. But days turned into weeks, and no fits came. Color returned to her cheeks, and she began to gain weight. Her voice, always beautiful, grew stronger and more confident. The change in Adaku was remarkable. She began to venture out of the palace more frequently, no longer afraid of having fits in public. The villagers, who had once mocked her, now watched in amazement as she walked through the market with her head held high, her voice raised in song. "It's a miracle," people whispered. "The afflicted princess is cured." Chief Ezudele observed these changes with growing interest. As Adaku bloomed into the beautiful, healthy young woman she was always meant to be, his mind began to turn toward new possibilities. One evening, he summoned Chidi to his private chambers. The palm wine tapper entered cautiously, unsure what to expect. "You have done our family a great service," the chief began, his voice unusually warm. "The transformation in my daughter is remarkable." Chidi bowed respectfully. Seeing her happy and healthy is all the reward I need, Great One." "Ah, but you deserve more," Chief Ezudale insisted. "I wish to hold a great celebration to thank the gods for Adaku's healing and to honor you for your role in it." "That's very generous, my chief, but I insist," the chief cut him off. "In fact, I think we should postpone any talk of marriage until after this celebration. Let us first show the world that Princess Adaku is truly cured." Chidi's heart skipped a beat. "Marriage, my chief." Chief Ezudale smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. "Did you not hope to marry my daughter? Isn't that why you brought her this cure?" I love your daughter, Great One," Chidi admitted, "but I brought her the cure because I couldn't bear to see her suffer, not to win her hand." "Noble words," the chief nodded. "Very well, go now and continue your work. I will send for you when the celebrations are prepared." As Chidi left the palace that night, his heart was troubled. Something in the chief's manner made him uneasy, but he couldn't quite say what. Over the next few weeks, preparations for the great celebration consumed the village. Messengers were sent to neighboring communities announcing the miracle of Princess Adaku's cure. Chiefs and nobles from other villages began arriving, eager to witness the transformation for themselves. Adaku, meanwhile, was happier than she'd ever been. Free from the constant fear of seizures, she bloomed like a flower after the rains. Her voice, always her greatest gift, grew even more beautiful, and she could often be heard singing as she moved around the palace. "You've given me my life back," she told Chidi one evening as they sat in their usual spot beneath the Udala tree. "Not just the cure, but your love and acceptance. They helped me find myself again." Chidi took her hand, marveling at how much stronger it felt now. "You had that strength inside you all along, my princess. I just helped you remember it." But their happiness was about to be tested in ways they couldn't imagine. For Chief Ezudale had been making plans of his own, plans that would shake their world to its foundations. The day of the celebration arrived with great fanfare. The palace courtyard was filled with visitors from all around, chiefs, nobles, and ordinary villagers alike. Colorful canopies had been erected, and the air was filled with the sound of drums and flutes. Chidi arrived with his father, both dressed in their finest clothes. They were given a place of honor near the chief's platform, a mark of respect that made Chidi's father beam with pride. "See how they honor you, my son," his father whispered. "Soon you'll be married to the princess, and all our dreams will come true." But when Chief Ezudale stood to address the crowd, his words sent a chill through Chidi's heart. "My people," the chief's voice boomed across the courtyard, "we are gathered here to celebrate a miracle. My daughter, Princess Adaku, once afflicted with a terrible illness, has been cured." Cheers erupted from the crowd as Adaku stepped forward, resplendent in a new wrapper of the finest silk. Her beauty, no longer shadowed by illness, took everyone's breath away. "Thanks to this young man," the chief continued, gesturing to Chidi, "my daughter is whole again. And to show my gratitude, I present him with these gifts." Servants brought forward bags of cowries, fine clothes, and other valuable items, laying them at Chidi's feet. His father gasped at the generosity of the gifts, but Chidi felt his stomach twist with anxiety. Took on a different tone. "Now that my daughter is restored to health, I have an even greater announcement to make. I open my court to all noble suitors who wish to seek Princess Adaku's hand in marriage." The courtyard erupted in chaos. Chidi leapt to his feet, his face pale with shock. Adaku, standing on the platform, stumbled backward as if struck. "Father, no," she cried out, but her voice was lost in the commotion as nobles from various communities began pushing forward, eager to present themselves as potential suitors.
Write the word "continue" in the comment section if you want the next part, and please subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. Kindly click the subscribe button, like, comment, and share this video. Watch out for more intriguing and eye-catching videos from your favorite YouTube channel.